Please allow me to remind you that I have a tip jar at the podcast website, which is atlanticradio.blogspot.com. I could get a website for this podcast, but I don't make any money from it, so that's not going to happen right now. Anyhow, give me some money, please. You know what? I do this, and I'm happy to do that. I don't want to talk about that anymore. My guest is Job, and I met him here in town, and he's a musician. And like most musicians that I meet they're usually really cool guys. And like I've said in the past, I think it's because being a musician, you have to spend a lot of time doing introspection and analyzing things and your feelings in the world. So this interview is with Job, and he has a CD coming out soon, and check out this conversation. It's really good.
The Umbrella Corporation. Our business is life itself. This podcast episode is brought to you by nothing.
Try it for free.
I think there's a generation of music in the 90s, even like your Dave Matthews type bands, that just kind of cranked out the fraternity circuit forever before anybody knew who they were. I think those days are past. I think there's a few that might happen again.
The Dave Matthews Band, you said they tapped out the university circuit?
I'm saying there's a certain generation of music that was born out of the 90s that started playing bars.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of music that comes on the radio now that starts out in a bar. You know what I mean? Like it starts at the top. It starts. They recruit.
Like the person was groomed for
They
it.
recruit Olympic grade superstars and they put out albums.
Yeah. And people buy them.
They love them.
Yeah. And it's a certain sect of people that buy them. And my wife has been included in the what's that girl's name? The one, she's very famous. She was married to John Mayer. She's she's a big pop star.
She wasn't married, I don't think.
Star.
The blonde girl.
No, she's brunette. She used to be Christian, her parents are like Christian.
I don't know. She's a musician?
Yeah, you don't know either. So no, she's not a musician. She's a singer.
James Brown.
It's like Miley Cyrus, but it's not Miley Cyrus. Her name is, damn it. Her last album was called Prism.
Kenny G.
Oh, this is going to be awful to watch the playback. This is going to be painful for the viewer that knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, they're going to be like, what is that?
A couple of morons. What are they talking about?
So that artist,
Michael Jackson.
I can't think of right now.
I've decided to put my phone down. I'm perpetually Googling to see what I'm supposed to know that I don't know.
You can if you want to, man. Anything goes over here.
What's her name now?
Voldemort.
Her name, we're going to do this in front of, we're going to do this.
Christina Perry.
You're going to have to listen to this,
Christina
people.
Perry.
No, it's Perry. Katy
Perry.
That's it, man. That's it.
Christina Perry's actually all right. I like her.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is.
She's pretty good. She opened up for, I went to see Ed Sheeran in Atlanta, actually, who's quite good. And she opened for him, and she's better than I anticipated.
What does she do? Play guitar, sing?
Well, he came out solo and just rocked the loop pedal, at an arena, Phillips Arena in Atlanta. She came out with a band, like she plays the piano.
Yeah.
Her big hit is 1,000 Years from the Twilight movies. She had a mega hit from that, but she's actually quite good otherwise.
So when you see somebody doing the loop pedal on a stage, on a big stage, that's kind of like, you need a band on a big stage, don't you think so?
What he did was quite impressive because it wasn't a loop frenzy. Like, your loop guys are in a loop frenzy most of the time. His just kind of crafted a rhythm section and he did his song. A little bit of a beat in it.
Like Andrew Bird.
It just wasn't a loopathon.
Yeah.
It was about a song, and he was just a guy that started from the bottom without a band.
That would be a good name for him. Loopathon.
Some of those guys, that's their shtick. It's like, I'm going to do a 15-minute song.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spend 11 minutes putting it together, and then I'm going to play 4 more minutes of a crap song. And I bought a loop pedal. I like the loop pedal concept. I bought one. I've not used it before. I bought it about 3 years ago, and I've loaned it out like 4 times.
I've seen that. I can take one song of that, constructing it for like 5 minutes. I'll watch it. I'll watch one song, but I'm like, that's it. Like, I don't want to see this again.
I like the variations in a song. Like if it's got to be the same all the way through, It's the variations of the.
So Reggie Watts is really good about making variations in his loops because he'll knock it out, and then he'll make some sort of bridge.
I don't know who
and then
that
he'll
is.
come back. He has a big afro, but it's like kind of frizzy afro, and he's kind of overweight, dude. And it's like, he looks like a teddy bear, right? Like Reggie Watts. And
But he's not local, or he is local?
No, he's not local.
He's big time.
No, I think he's the band leader of Saturday Night Live now. Saturday Night Live. Conan O'Brien or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I don't know what I'm
he's
talking
big
about. I don't watch TV. I don't know what's going on with pop music, But like you were
We know
saying,
Katy Perry.
right? Katy Perry, but
broke up with
John Mayer. Oh, I didn't know
He broke
that.
up with her.
Oh, wow.
I'm just making that up.
Yeah, they probably did. Like, who knows how that went down. But like that, like a pop artist like that who's constructed to be a pop star, people buy into it, and there's a certain section of society that buys into it. And like my wife pointed out to me one time that it's probably the people that you see downtown at like 4th of July events or at the boat events or at the such and such festival at the landing. Mm-hmm. Like that's the faction, that's the section of society that is the people that buys all these things like Katy Perry. And that's a lot of people.
I was going to say, I would say the portion that does not, I would call the fraction.
No. I mean, not the fraction, but
Number-wise.
they're separate groups of
Right.
people. Like the group of people in Riverside, which is like, those who don't know, it's more like of a hipster, like indie type of scene here in Jacksonville. But it's like the people over here, they don't have that kind of numbers behind them.
Right.
Like they can't do an event at the landing and have the whole place full and all the businesses booming.
Right.
It just can't happen. You can do like maybe Hemming Park or like some small thing more over here on this side of town, or one street, So that's it. But I'm fascinated that, aren't you fascinated how that people respond to such plastic pop?
It is. It's funny though, because when you mention, like we were talking about going back to the 70s or 60s to get to real bands, at one point you look at, this ties John Mayer back in, but you look at the Grateful Dead and bands that required no pop appeal, required no radio play, and they filled arenas for decades, and they still do, and they still don't come on the radio.
Yeah.
Like they got maybe 2 songs that come on the radio.
Like what? Give me an example of a band. Like the Counting Crows?
The Grateful Dead is what I'm saying.
Oh,
The
okay.
Grateful
They're
Dead.
from that era. Okay, yeah.
In that they have a counterculture that is so large.
It's enormous.
Yeah,
man.
and
is
it crosses into, I don't mean it crosses into Katy Perry world, but they cross into pop culture. I saw a guy the other day that had, instead of a Grateful Dead shirt on, he had a Grateful Dad. This big old pop melody with 3 children.
That's great.
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a Dead shirt until I saw it up close.
Yeah, that's a nice take on it. Yeah, Grateful Dead is so big that if it was like a landmark, you could see it from a satellite.
It's ginormous.
Yeah, it is.
I've never
great.
seen the Dead. I've been to a Dead show, but just outside.
I've met
Way
people
back
who
in
have
the
been to
day.
Dead shows, and that's all I need.
That's all you need. You're done.
No, they're fine, man. They're always cool. They're always cool people who like are into the Grateful Dead. It's just like, it is really not my scene. I'm like a homebody. I need things to be really like regular at home, like really normal. I just can't I think it's because I grew up in a chaotic household. That's what I think.
Right.
And so I just do not want any of that. Like when I go to a festival, first of all, I won't go to a festival, a music festival or any kind of festival. You're going to have to kind of coerce me to go there. I'll have a great time when I go there, but I'll have a great time for like 3 hours. Then I got to go home. I don't know if you're like that.
Well,
but I feel
I tend to be, particularly music, you can't, it's kind of like real good food. Real good food is good for about an hour. I don't need 3 days of it.
Right, yeah.
Like, you could spread it out and be like, we'll have some wine and we'll have an appetizer, we'll have some more wine and we'll have some entree. Then you could spread it out, but I still don't want 4 days of it.
Yeah.
So I've never been to a 4-day festival. I don't want to go see 4 days worth of movies either.
Yeah.
Like
Canes.
I'm going to
like
swim
the
for
Canes.
4 days or whatever.
Yeah.
I like to swim. I'm not going to swim for 4 days.
Yeah, man. You like swimming?
Yes, but I like music.
great.
There's a certain vibe I like music in. I don't just like music. I don't mean I don't like it out under a tree, but there's a certain resonance that maximizes music. I prefer indoor music to outdoor music.
Yeah, me too.
I prefer lighting. I got a bunch of things that kind of culminate to make the maximum experience.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's similar to a meal or sex or anything else. Like it is what it is, and then it's real good. Like, why would you just settle for it out in the field if you could affect the lighting?
Yeah, I'm not crazy
and
about
the sound bouncing.
I'm not crazy about outdoor music either. You know, I just played a house concert last night. Who is banging on this door? I just played a house concert last night. It was amazing, man. It was my daughter is calling out my name. What, baby? What do you want? Job has daughters, so he's gonna understand.
That's right.
He's understanding.
We're gonna interject the child moment.
So, you play music, like you play guitar, and you sang. You know, for the longest time, I don't know why I thought you played the piano. Somebody told me you played the piano. I'm like, I pictured Job walking around,
like dramatic.
No, I pictured Job walking around, lugging a piano, like a heavy,
Jumbo
like 88
keyboard.
88 key keyboard around. And so yeah, when I saw you playing the guitar, I was like, oh, okay. It's like, you know, and that's neat. So how did you start playing music with your musical life? How did that?
I actually, if you had to say, I'm a singer, and I've learned how to play guitar. I sang for about 10 years before I ever played the guitar. And I had owned a guitar, you know, where you learn G. Like somebody showed you a chord and it leaned in the corner for another 10 years.
Yeah.
But I sang in a band as a teenager on into my 20s. And then at some point your band unravels enough times, you know, you lose your bass player, you lose, you know, one thing or another. And at one point I was roommates with my guitar player. So I just bought a smaller PA. I was always the band leader guy with the sound system and everything. And I ran the band, booked the gigs, that sort of thing. So when my guitar player was my roommate, we just immediately went out. I bought sound system and immediately went out and booked some gigs. So I was booking gigs before I could play.
Wow.
I booked him a month out, and then he had a month to show me. We started with like 25 songs, 20 songs.
Yeah.
So you booked it, and then you had to learn it. And then the guy was like, it was when I was in college, and it was, you're booking it right around a holiday like spring break or something. He's like, how about next Wednesday? And I'm like, nah, let's don't. That's the weekend before spring break. You don't want to do the week before spring break. And then he's like, how about the next week? You don't want to do spring break, and then you don't want to do the week after. You don't want to do the first week back. So I was making them all kind of excuses just to get me a month. So I was about early 20s when I was winging it, probably 22, 23. And then about 25 before I could go solo and actually.
So
play
why did you do that? Like, why did you book the gigs and you didn't know, you knew that you didn't know how to play it? Is that a way of pressuring yourself?
I do everything that way.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great, man.
You don't have to muster up the motivation once you're committed.
It's in your face, right? Right. That's great.
So.
Yeah, man. I could see an element of myself doing that. Like you're in a sense like promising something that you haven't delivered yet.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll tell you what. So what did you learn when you went to go do the gig and you had just learned the songs? What did you learn?
Well, I was just having to. I already sang 100 songs, so I just kind of had to take the songs I know and learn the chords behind the solo. So I could just kind of hold the guitar and sing a song, and then I'd have to just show me the chords for the solo. So it might be like some CCR or some Otis Redding or nothing too over the top, some Dylan or something.
So you remember your first gig doing that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so how'd it go?
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same as I remember being in a band and coaching my bandmates, because when we were young, you're like teenagers. And you're trying to pull off big time. Like you've rented the biggest PA, you got smoke machines and lights, crazy
bubbles,
maximum presentation. And then you got some goober on the guitar that when somebody screws up, he gives you the look. And I'm like, nobody knows if you don't do that.
Yeah, man.
And so you're coaching these people into like presenting. So I had that under my belt.
Yeah, man.
I had that under my belt by then. It's different if you've never gigged out and you're going to go solo. That's hard.
I've played with people who are professional musicians and they do that.
Perfection.
The look.
I'm like, oh my God.
They've played different parts of the world and they do the look, and I'm like,
the look is everybody know I didn't do it. That's what
Yeah.
the look means. And that's
Yeah.
like, that sucks the music out of it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns
I don't want to
into-
play with
it
you. If you're
turns
that
into
guy,
some-
like, I'm done. Like, that'll be your last gig
It turns
with
into
me.
some like domestic dispute happening.
It's the blame game in the middle of a
Man,
song.
have you ever fought with somebody during your set, like musically? Have you ever fought with a drummer or the bass player or the guitar, another guitarist?
Not during, I guess.
No, I'm not talking about fighting. I'm talking about musically. Like somebody gets louder, and then somebody keeps speeding up, or somebody keeps.
As a younger person, my brother was my drummer. In all my band days, my brother's been the drummer. I've been in like a format here and there with different combinations, but fundamentally, he was my drummer during my formative years. And he likes a structure to a song. Here's how we start it. We go this long, we come in, and then here's how we end it. And I'm a total freestyle guy. Like, I don't care how long it goes on before I come in. You feel like you should kind of be ready when it comes in. I should come in when I'm ready.
Yeah.
Axl, it's the Axl Rose. And that would frustrate, he's like, come on, he's losing his love for the song, and I'm just dragging tail. And then similarly, you would get to a point in the song where I'm like, I can't remember the third verse. Like, I need you guys to embellish. And then that would, more frustration between me and him. Never kind of angry. Like we were a little more.
Yeah.
We were well rehearsed, maybe over rehearsed. But it was, I guess, this tension between structure versus non-structure. And now I'm no structure. If I got to do structure, I'd rather get a job typing.
No, but I'm saying you have to have some structure if you're going to play with other musicians.
My structure at this point is follow me. As long as you guys are okay following me, we got structure. Like if you're going to go off on a tangent, you got to find another band.
It's either got to be that, or you have to have some structure. Like for example, jazz bands, they do improv all the time, baby. What do you need? Where's your mom? That sounds terrible. It's so heartbreaking. Oh, that whimper. Okay, so if you were, what were we talking about right now? If structured jazz bands. I hope you all have kids at home or listening to this. If you don't, you need to.
You can borrow one.
You can borrow one, yeah, but not from me. No. So jazz bands, they do a lot of improv, and they have the beginning, I guess,
Right.
and like the middle or like the end.
It's
And
meant to
then-
look like total chaos, and it's just not among the people that are playing it, right?
Yeah, you mean it to the audience?
To the
it looks
listener,
like
it
chaos.
looks like chaos.
Yeah, but
Like organized chaos.
yeah, you have the chord, you have the basic structure of the song, and then the sax takes a solo, and musically they tell you when they're done, and you can feel it and you can hear it, and it's always neat when a soloist can keep it interesting for a long period of time, and it's the band thinks that the person's going to go out. But then they do this other thing, and they just keep it going, like
Right.
keep blowing
It takes off
a
again.
balloon into
It goes
the air.
up a notch and up a notch.
Yeah.
It sucks when it goes up and then they keep going. I'm not talking about fish, and then they keep going, and then they keep going, and then like fish, and then they keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have the It doesn't have the upswing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
watching
I'm guilty. I've done it before.
I was watching the
done it.
Grateful Dead a video from the late '60s, and from the consumer perspective, it's a bunch of tripped out dudes that are all blitzed out of their minds that are just jamming. But boy, they go off on a tangent, and nobody looks at one another. Nobody acknowledges that the change is coming, and they're all tripped out. And all at the same time, they nail the transition and they move into something else.
Wow.
So as far as the consumer's concerned, we're all tripping, they're all tripping, we're just jamming.
Yeah.
But the band's tight. Like the band knows it's a different level of, and they might be blitzed out of their head and also tight. So be it. But it's not out in left field as it sounds.
Yeah.
Because they bring it back.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
you have, like, for example, in Afro-Cuban music, I noticed that the conga player or the guy hitting the cowbell or the bass player, they have a riff, even if it's like 3 notes or 4 notes. They have a riff that they do that says, I'm out.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
They know when I hear that.
Yeah,
I'm
and
out.
you've played with somebody 50 times, 100 times, you've heard that riff and you know it, you know? So that's how you do it. Like, that's how I have that riff even on stuff that is not Afro-Cuban. Like, I have that riff with the musicians that I play. They already know. Like, Goliath, you know, I make fun of that riff because it's like, they know they know it's time to go out too. Because it's like, I do this like, dum, dum, bum, bum, ba-da-dum. You know, but I do that dum, dum at first.
Right.
You know?
It gets like it's like the intro to the outro.
Yeah.
Like here goes.
Yeah.
Well, I've got this thing where, and the guys that I play with, it's ambiguous. I don't call songs. I just start.
Oh shit.
And it'll be an A. Hey, we're an A. And then I'll just start, and I don't have to tell you what we're doing. You'll see. Like, and then about a few minutes in, you'll know what song we're doing. When you play with people long enough.
Job has the sweatiest band in town. They're all sweating.
They're all stressed out. Like, oh my God. They're not now. There was a time. There was a long time. But so you'll just kind of strum into it. It helps to not have a drummer too, because that's not a real follow instrument. It helps to not have I guess if I'm playing rhythm, then if everybody understands the key, we're good in the general pattern of the music. But there's no strong changes that are going to require that you know exactly what we're about to do. It's not a rush tune. But link the intros where it becomes ambiguous what song you're doing, and then when it comes time to close it out, it just keeps going. Like, so the guys that I'm playing with, they know it's going to be a false ending. Like, it's going to die. It's going to come back. And so they don't, if you're with guys, particularly when you put a drummer in the mix, he wants to go, psh. He wants a tight ending, or he wants to, I'm going to go around, and we're going to, whatever. And it's like a canned ending. And I much prefer I generally like a slow intro, and I like in a live format for my music. A slow in, a slow out.
So wait a minute.
My songs are long.
So if you go out, so like the image that I got was like the drummer is just gonna sound like he just dropped the sticks over his drum set.
I don't really play with a drum.
My song just falls apart at the end. But you know, when you play live, everybody extends their tunes, even professional, not that we're not professional, but even like bands that play to arenas extend their tunes. You're not going to play the song the same way that you play it on your recording. Right. Like, it's not going to be 3 minutes. You're going to do a different intro. You're going to start just with a guitar, right, an echo or whatever. The lights are going to go down.
I guess particularly as a one-man presentation, I don't think people take the liberty to do that. That I'll start it how I want to. It's my song.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who wrote it. Tonight it's my song. And people just go, they jump right in, they strum the chords once, and bam, they're singing. They sing verse, chorus out, and then strum it, and they're out. They're like, and then they speed play it, so it's like 2.5 minutes long. And then they're playing the next song or whatever. And I just, if they're on my set list, they're my songs as far as I'm concerned.
Do you find yourself changing your song according to the room? Like, because I do that. Like, it depends on what the tone of the room is and who's in there.
As to how I play a specific song?
Yeah, let's say it's this song, you played it yesterday at a restaurant, and then now you're playing the same song, but you're playing it at a different place, but everybody is like 20 years old and a hipster.
Well, I have some songs that have kind of like a solid core that they hang in. And then I got other songs with a huge spectrum. This song, the Bruce Springsteen song, I'm on Fire. In a certain room, it's got a dramatic kind of ringing out kind of, you know the song I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? And did he go away? And like real enunciation.
Yeah.
Leave you all alone. Mm-hmm. And then there's that's all over one chord. No change, no strum. I'll just ring it out and sing it. And then there's another kind of hacking away at a rhythm at the same time. Same song, choppier, more rhythmic vocal.
Yeah.
Radically different song. And if you've never heard it, you prefer the second one. Like if you're 25 and you've never heard the song, you probably prefer the little more upbeat.
Huh. Yeah.
And I like them both. But it kind of gives me... And then there's 20 different versions in between, which kind of keeps your set list fresh of just playing... songs in different formats.
Yeah, man. I trust me. I know what you're talking about. I switch my songs up all the time, and I get tired. I do a new cover, like I do a new cover, and then I go through it for sure in a month. I'm like done with it, and then I'll revisit it again in a year,
Right?
And then I find something else, or I'll revisit. I got this recurring things. People ask me to play songs, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I know that song.
I have a master list that's in my Yahoo account, and I Google it every now and I search my Yahoo account because like in 2005 or something, I had to accumulate all the songs for some reason.
Do you ever worry that the NSA, some troll in the NSA, is going to go into your Yahoo account and delete some?
I'd be screwed because I feel like
or add some that you didn't ever put on.
I'm like, I know I don't know that song. I've never played that. But I've never, right now, I'd say for the last 5 years or so, I don't even play with a set list. I just have a certain pocket of songs that I'm playing with right now. And, a year will go by, I'm just going by memory. You look out at a room and how you're feeling and whether you're standing or sitting and decide what you're going to do next. And then every now and then you break out the list. And because you forget what you knew.
Yeah,
you're pulling from songs in your memory.
I'm
and
glad,
then you go,
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
There's like 100 more songs. And some of them are stuff you're like, oh, I'll never play that again. Like there's not a situation that'll ever be played again. It can't be revamped. It can't, it's maxed out.
Yeah.
But the vast body of my work is either, they're just good songs. Like give me a Sam Cooke song. And I'll play that forever. At no point will I be like, I used to play that. Some of the songs are just good enough.
Sam Cooke, tell me about Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke's the guy that wrote, I think he wrote more songs than people know about. Sam Cooke, if you listen to Sam Cooke's greatest hits, it basically sounds like an oldies station. He has a dominant force in 50s pop, early 60s. Change is Gonna Come. Change is Gonna Come. There have been times that I thought.
Yeah.
He wrote that.
I'm familiar with it. A woman singing it.
Yeah. So he's the original.
Like Patti LaBelle or something like that. There's been time. Somebody. Okay, so he
wrote songs like Cupid, draw back your bow.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
He's quite poetic and quite melodic all at the same time. He was a generation before like your Marvin Gaye.
So do you have a favorite? What's your favorite generation like of music? What do you have favorites, like favorite epochs?
Those are my two. When people say, you always get that.
It changes over time, I'm sure.
Well, you got certain
I'm sure.
certain people that I would say were influential on me as a vocalist, but I don't carry them with me. Like they just happen to be what I had exposure to as I was getting on a microphone. But I don't carry them with me. The Sam Cooke, Johnny Cash, I think I fall somewhere between those two. Nobody's going to hear me and go, he sounds like a mix between Sam Cooke
Cash.
and Johnny Cash.
Cash Cooke.
Because I don't.
Sam
But in
Cash.
terms of, it's going to be my rapper name.
Sam Cash.
But those two guys, you get the question, if you were on an island, what 5 records would you bring?
Yeah.
And I don't have specific records. I would choose greatest hits of a certain artist so I could have the spectrum of their work. But those are probably...
People needed to come up with a new analogy of that. They need to be like, if you were stuck in a prison with a computer that only held 3 megabytes,
what songs would you?
What songs would you?
Yeah, because what CD, that's obsolete. People don't even know what CD songs came from in the past. That you don't link it to the album it came out on.
Yeah,
nobody has a clue what album they came on. But
so
Sam Cooke, Johnny Cash, Bill Withers. Bill Withers is ginormous for me.
Man, I've known about Bill Withers, and of course I've heard his normal music, meaning like his stuff that's on the radio. And I checked it out of the library not too long ago.
Greatest Hits?
It's something, or Best of, or something like that. Yeah,
he's only got a couple albums, so Greatest Hits are going to have a large volume of his work.
Well, I saw him do this thing live where he sings a song that it was not on the CD, and I was just so moved. I was moved by a lot of it. I think it was great. And the live performance was, he was singing this song about he was surprised that his wife left him, and that he was just I can't remember how the lyrics go, but it's like, I can't help the darkness something like that. But she's gone. And he holds his note. He holds his note for a long time.
Oh, Ain't No Sunshine?
No, it's not that one.
It's not that one?
No, and
It's an obscure song.
I guess so, but the guitar is so, it's like one note at a time and like 3 notes. Ding, 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 ding.
Hello, like before. I don't know.
Well, I gotta find a clip of that. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put it in the show notes.
Have you ever heard Grandma's Hands?
Yeah.
I hear a song like that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, dude loves his grandma, and
Yeah.
he was able to put it in a song.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And the song's awesome.
See, I thought that was Gil Scott Heron's song, and I didn't know that because I first heard it with Gil Scott Heron. Grandma's hands used to clap on church on Sunday.
I
Grandma's
play that
hands.
occasionally, like if the crowd's just right.
Yeah, man, you should do it.
You can't play that anywhere.
Oh, I've done it on purpose and appropriately. I've played that song like in a place where it just doesn't
where everybody's
go.
12.
No, where nobody wants to hear that. It's like everybody's trying to be hip and
It's
sexy.
trying to rock.
Everybody's trying to hip and sexy. I'm like, grandma.
Play the tambourine.
So,
well.
when you gig, do you, how's your gigging here in Jacksonville? Like, what is it like? How's your gigging life?
Gigging life is good. I'm at a point.
She's not gonna leave me alone.
I play a couple of places on the regular that I like, and then I pick up stuff here and there, but I don't fill up the week like I used to. I used to try to get, 6 in a week.
But we talked about that. But you don't, right? You get tired of it.
Yeah.
It burns you out.
I'm to the point now, and I don't think I'll go back. I've kind of done this a couple points in my life where I've played music exclusively, and where you're just trying to fill up the week. I'm hosting open mic night on a Monday, so I can book a Monday every week. That's quite fun, actually. I would do another open mic night if it was the right room, just because it's like volunteer work for your craft. Although it pays, I would probably do it for free in the right room.
Yeah. What do you feel? How do you feel about that? Like paying gigs that pay and gigs that don't pay. I think you're pretty against gigs that don't pay when they're like for places that are establishments that are making money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never had any trouble getting paid. I generally, like if you plan on getting paid, you can't blow it for people. Even that guy there's like the maximum and the minimum, and then there's somewhere in the middle. You find the guy at the bottom tends to keep the prices down. Mm-hmm. So as a musician, you don't want to keep them up either. If you keep them too high, people quit doing music. There's like that happy point where musicians and venues can find a spot.
Well, it is amazing. I don't know what it is like nationwide. I haven't been playing nationwide, but around here, regionally, even let's say throughout southern Georgia to Miami, this is my area right now, and it's like, and the bulk of my gigs are here in Jacksonville. Right, which is, if you don't know where Jacksonville is, look it up on the map. It's at the top of Florida. I'll put it this way. I played with a bass player who's been living here since the 80s, and he said to me, Goliath, in 1987, it was $100 a man. He goes, and this was 2007. He goes, in 2007, it's still $100 a man. It's almost 10 years later now after he told me.
As long as you
that.
don't have more than 3 men. And it goes down to
Right.
It's true, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so now this is almost 10 years after he told me that. And it's still about the same standard. And the cost of living has gone up and everything has gone up. And he told me, but in 1987, $100 was $100. Like gas was
It's
$1.
like double what it is now, at least.
Yeah, it was like if you were there paying you $200 each.
It's like big money at the time.
Yeah, and so I don't know how that happened. Like where that's the happy middle ground you're talking about, as far as restaurant establishments go.
I think it has more to do with beer and liquor, and that at some point, merely having a beer license or a liquor license, you were making money hand over fist. People were coming, you were making a boatload of cash, and all you had to do was get people to come. And now the margins are much smaller in beer and liquor than they used to be. So, and that's
You mean they're not making?
the margins that you make at retail aren't what they were in the 80s.
Really?
So the capacity to spend $500 on a band or $1,000 on a band and still make out.
So what's changed that in the alcohol
I think
industry?
that's corporate. I mean, I think that's the corporations that produce product squeezing the end retailer.
I see. Wow.
think
I never considered that.
And then you got places like, for me, when I'm playing somewhere, I go a little bit softer on a place that doesn't have liquor because that's where they make their money.
Yeah.
If you play at Harper & Louis, they sell beer and affordable food versus playing somewhere that sells expensive food and has beer and liquor. So they got a much bigger ticket for their venue. So if I was going to take a hit and play for less, it'd be at a mom and pop spot that has beer. I'm not going to play for less at a venue that has a full liquor bar and a room full of people with much higher tickets.
Yeah, I play for less if I like the person.
That's me.
If I like the venue.
If I like what's going on, I'll join the team.
But usually, I won't work for $100. Like at a gig, I just can't do it. I'm like, no, it's like because I can't do it because I don't like the feeling that I have when I finish the gig. I feel cheated, and I thought in the past that my ideal situation is a situation where the person thinks they might be getting screwed over, and I think I might be getting screwed over. So
somewhere in that gray space.
Somewhere they're like not sure if he's charging me too much, and I'm not sure if I'm charging them enough.
Well, I think there's places. Once you cross into doing private gigs with some regularity, then you're never excited about bar pay.
Yeah.
So I do enough private gigs that bar pay it will never be exciting. Nobody's going to pay you $300 at a bar.
No.
So I'll be disappointed no matter what it is. So the difference between $1 and $1.25 or $1.25 and $1.50, oftentimes what pisses me off is if they're like, you don't get a tab or you don't get alcohol.
Or you don't get food.
I'm like, whatever. That's just embarrassing. Now you've embarrassed yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't want to play here.
Yeah.
I want to invite my people here.
I've played places like that, and that's why those places make a lot of money, because that's their policy
model.
Across the board. Doesn't matter who you are. You could be Barack Obama. It's like, you got to pay president. You even more. It's like,
extra.
Yeah, but they do give me a discount. These places that I'm not gonna name any names because I don't want to embarrass them.
But I do have this list.
I do have this list. I do have it in the show notes. Hidden. If you turn your laptop monitor backwards, you'll be able to see it on a white screen. Let me see.
I play it right around here. I play at the Garage pretty regular. That's my only close by spot. I used to play. I think we've talked about
the Garage on King Street.
The Garage.
King
on the
and
corner
College,
of
right?
King and Post.
King and Post, yeah.
On Fridays.
Is that a plug? No. On Fridays, you really do it on
Not
Fridays?
every Friday, but they have music
most
on
Fridays. Okay.
Yeah. With some regularity. But I used to be. We've talked about this one. I used to play at Harper & Louis on Wednesdays. That's one that has just beer, and I love that place. I love that gig. But in the cold season, they can't do music because it's outside. And then now they have bingo or trivia or something, and the crowd that bingo, whatever it is, bingo, trivia, whatever.
Trivia.
The crowd that they pull in dwarfs what live music can do. Like there's a line outside the door. I was all proud because
with bingo.
But when I first started playing Harper & Louis, the deck was empty. Wednesday night, I'm like, give me an empty night. That way you can see whether it's worth having music.
Yeah.
Don't do it on a Friday. You already got customers. So I started playing Wednesday. Deck filled up. It was gangbuster. Money well spent. Put Job on the deck fills up. And then clearly I'm no competition for bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Wow. Bingo.
Who knew?
Yeah. It's
so
people
now
love that trivia, man.
So now I host bingo. No, not really.
No. It's so we got to figure out. We got to figure
3 places all over Jacksonville.
We got to figure out a way. Hey, I know people who have this business. They host trivia and they have their setup, and they go to different restaurants and they contract there, and that's what they do.
I did it in college. I did acoustic trivia where I'd play a song. I'd ask a question. It was strictly just trying to get paid, but it was fun.
So when I'm at a venue, let's say some random restaurant, and let's say it's a nice restaurant, and I'm thinking about let's say I was a guy playing there for $100, and I think about how much this like 3 top spent, and this is one table, and let's say 50 tables come in or 40 tables come in for the night, and they could have just paid me with that one table,
Right.
because their bill was $140 or whatever. And then I look at like this 12 top, and then I look at the 6 top, and like they spent like $1,000 and $800 over here, and then there's multiples of those. And so I think that the restaurant owners are just not used to allotting a certain amount for either that, or I don't know how expensive it is to run a restaurant. But of course, it's hard to tell because the owner is going to take their side and want to spend as little as possible.
Right.
And because sometimes people, when I don't charge an extraordinary amount, but sometimes when I tell an restaurant owner how much it would be, they're like, oh, no, we can't do that. I'm like, no, sure you can. Yes, you can. I know you can, and you probably spend that, I don't know, in napkins like today or something.
It is funny though, but if you don't charge more, you'll never get paid more. Like nobody's ever going to say, I know we've been paying you $100, but it's going great.
No,
how about
never gonna do
$200?
that. They're never
like if you
gonna do
don't
that.
go in and accept the decline on $200 periodically, you're never going to get $200. I don't get $200 anywhere right now at the places I'm at.
I'll tell you a little bit of advice that everybody, all musicians may find use for, is that when I got tired of doing weddings, I got totally tired of doing weddings. I didn't want to see another wedding in my life. I didn't say no. I started saying it'll be this much, and it was like a ridiculous amount. I'm like, if you pay me that, I will do this wedding, right? And then eventually somebody said yes, and they did that. So if you have the leeway, you can try that. Otherwise, because if you hate it, like, not that I hate people's weddings, but it's so much pressure.
Right. It is high stress. It's hard to pull off the musical aspect of something if it's that high stress.
Yeah.
I do that. I had somebody that wanted me to play a wedding in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how much do you charge?
That's a good travel.
How much do you charge for that?
Yeah.
And the same thing, you just throw out a huge number. And if it comes back, I'm like, I'm going to Gulf Shores. If it doesn't, you got out of that one.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, I went to Gulf Shores. Mm-hmm. You throw out a huge number. You're like, it's going to take me 3 days. I'm going to stay and hang out, make a weekend of it.
Did it work?
Yeah.
It worked out? Oh, very cool, man. Yeah, that's what I would do. I don't want to like inconvenience myself too much. And you know what? Ever since having kids, it's been like, I'm also charging you because you're making me leave my family because I love them and I want to be around them.
Well, I was going to say that's what contours what gigs I play now. So I can't haggle too much. I have to pick the one that fits in my schedule. Mm-hmm. And I can't do 10 to 2 on Friday night.
Right.
I don't care if that pays $300. I can't do that one.
Yeah.
So
the group that you work with, what does it consist of?
Well, I was going to say in general, that whole phase of my life is virtually in past tense because right now I play about once a week, and that's probably how I'll do until I roll over. I'll play once a week somewhere. I love the places I play. The garage gig's a great gig.
I tried to get a gig there. They were like, no. Or I texted or I called somebody. There's a baby crying. I called or I texted somebody, and they just never got back to me. That's what happened. They didn't say anything.
I don't know if it'll go year round or not. I hope it does. This is my first go round there. Anyway, I'm kind of on the 1 gig a week format, and I'm leaning towards. I'm just at this phase of life where I feel like I've kind of halfway done original music for. I've halfway.
It's chaos over here. I'm sorry. Kid break. Do, 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 do. All right, it's done. No, it's not. Here, it's come back.
Those shock collars are not working.
No. I'm gonna have to get whips and stuff. All right, you remember what you're telling me?
Well, I was just saying, I've always kind of straddled playing original music and playing cover music. At this point in my life, the songs that I've carried forward are my songs. We were talking about, I don't care if Sam Cooke wrote it. I've sang it more times than Sam Cooke by now.
Yeah.
So the songs that I play now are songs that I love. Like I've got an album I'm working on now. I've got 4 covers on it because I can't love them anymore. Some of the songs are just part of me, and I'm a part of them at this point. So I'm kind of pushing.
And you do them your own way.
Yeah. And they're a bit off the beaten path. Nobody's going to go, oh, that's. And the truth is, if you don't read the label, you're not going to know the damn difference anyway.
Yeah.
They're great songs. One's a Chris Christopherson song that nobody's ever heard of. And I like it. Like I'll always do covers. If I'm only limited to the songs that I wrote, that's kind of boring.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, some people go, I don't play covers. And I'm like,
That thing.
that's just,
Yeah.
what are you doing
We just
then?
do original
Elvis
music.
played covers. Like Frank
Yeah,
Sinatra
we
played
do
covers.
original.
What do you,
But it's kind of, if you don't play covers, you're kind of like dissing the whole musical history. Like, why don't you play covers? Don't you want somebody to play your song? Like, don't you want, no?
yeah,
you
the
don't.
concept is,
You want somebody to love your song so much that they want to play your
the
song.
concept of not playing covers is an immature concept. And you can have chops.
But it didn't-
whatever.
it didn't- it
But
wasn't that way.
Emotionally, as a musician, you're a child.
Yeah.
And truthfully, because I don't play covers.
You children out there.
So for me, I have to love the gig, and I have to be able to play whatever I feel like playing. If it in any way has outside impact on what I play next,
I'm making out your
I
writer
can't-
right now.
I can't play there. So I like it. I kind of like to be passive at the low guy in the corner at a local bar level. I'm kind of a passive player. Like I'm not really a hey everybody I'm over here kind of guy. You have gigs that you're that guy where your band's presenting your material, but for the most part, people came to have a good time, and I just happen to be playing music there. So I kind of take a back seat to whatever their evening's going to be, and have fun with music. So I kind of have to select gigs that fit in my calendar and fit into my tapestry of music, and then the price is like a third tier situation for me. Whereas it used to be, I need to get 6 gigs a week. I'll drive this far. I need to get this much for, they've got certain quadrants and certain specifications that determine what you'll do or won't do. But it was all, can I get 2 gigs in on a Friday night? Can I do an evening?
Wait, that was before Daughters, right? Or was no?
No, I used to. Right now, I'm a single dad with 3 kids.
That's hard, man.
When I was married with 3 kids, so I have sole custody, so I can't just be out.
How are you not crazy right now?
I've been crazy a long time. But when I was married, I could take care of kids all day.
He said, I've been crazy a long time.
When I was married, I could take care of kids all day and gig at night. So my kids were at home with the mom while I was gigging. So I used to work a double on Friday night. Or if I could do a day and a night, I'd do a Saturday afternoon and a Saturday night. Like you were just, whatever you could put on the calendar, it was like, put it on.
Yeah. You didn't say no to. You
I don't
didn't
say no to anything. And
Man, I was like that for like 2 years.
I've got 2 different blocks of time where I've done that. And it's real fun, especially when you first go around, when you're like, I know I can do this. And then the first year, you're like, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. The second year, you're like, this sucks, and I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
I always equate it to bussing tables at Applebee's, because you're basically going, I'd rather bust tables at Applebee's than to do this anymore. Yeah. Because playing once a week is glorious. Like if it's the gig you like, it's like you just get 3 hours of 3 hours of singing in the shower. If it's a gig you want to play at, and then you give me a week's worth of ones you don't want to play just because that's what you do.
So
I'd rather dig a ditch.
There's 2 things. Remind me if I forget. But house concert and pay scale. But let's start with the house concert. I just did a house concert last night, like I told you. Have you done one of those?
Not officially, like not in this modern era of house concerts.
Well, it's great. It's a great scenario. It's perfect for you. Like everything you're describing about it, about the casualness and about the intimacy of it and about acceptance of it. And
was it locally, like around here?
It was on Riverside Avenue at this man Wayne Wood's house. His name's Wayne Wood, and he has a sizable house, and he has a teepee outside of it, and they're like he sold 130 tickets to the thing, and I don't know how many people. The event lasted like 4 hours, so I don't think all 130 people stayed, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I just know I couldn't walk.
Right.
I couldn't walk through. I didn't count, and it was a great situation. It's a great situation. And apparently people book house concerts. You can book one here, and you can book one at the beach, and you can book one in Ponte Vedra, and then you can book one in St. Augustine, and you can book one in Gainesville. They pay more than restaurants.
Well, I know there's certain touring artists.
Oh, that's my bad. I'm sorry.
I know there's certain touring artists that if they're going to come through Savannah, for example, they'll book a Saturday night at a venue and hustle among whatever their fan base is in Savannah, a house gig on a Friday night. So they're going to come from Atlanta to Savannah for this gig, and they'll double up a combination of house gig and a music venue. So the same here. If you were coming to Jacksonville to play a venue and to play a house gig.
Yeah.
And I like that concept. I basically, my album is about complete. It's done recording, and we're just kind of mixing down. At the point at which it's complete, I basically am going to structure a Southeastern sort of format. I'm from Atlanta, and I want to gig with some regularity at a few significant venues in Atlanta.
Did you grow up? Were you a teenager in Atlanta?
I was a teenager south of Atlanta. I grew up in the country.
But I'm saying you're in
So
Georgia.
I wasn't like a city kid as a
Where
as
you
a
grew up?
teenager.
Snellville? My wife's from Snellville.
It's Snailville.
She's from Snellville, right? She's from Snellville.
Nobody
Can you
from
believe that?
Snellville says Snailville. That was Snailville.
Snailville. Like that? Snailville?
That's it, Snailville.
Snailville.
No, I grew up straight south of Atlanta.
It sounds like a Dr. Zeus town.
Atlanta's eat up with them. Metro Atlanta.
Yeah. I loved Atlanta, man. I was
on the south side.
I've played in Atlanta. I went to Atlanta. I thought it was great. The gay part of town is great.
I was in Atlanta yesterday. That's where I got my varsity shirt.
Oh, okay. You were there yesterday?
I had to drive up, drive back, all in a day. It's a long
That's 10 hours,
drive.
man. It's 10 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so pay scale. So we're talking about like what we're talking about as what we do. And then we're talking about these gigs at the level that we're doing, and then now let me tell you about a conversation that I had with the head guy that ran the Florida Theater. There was a winner of a singing contest show on television who was coming through town, and they were going to do a concert. And the week before, Eric Frampton, you know who Eric Frampton is, right? Eric Frampton, he sings da 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 all of you.
Oh, Peter Frampton.
Peter Frampton.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm like trying to tell you about it. I don't even know his name.
Well, you know how sometimes there's the artist and then his brother, like Frank Stallone.
Yeah,
It's just Frank Stallone's coming to town.
Chris Rock's brother. I saw him here. So that guy came into town and he said, Peter Frampton, they paid him $30,000. Can you imagine making $30,000 on one gig? Okay, so then the singer from this television, the winner of the television singing contest show, like American Idol, right, was coming through town also, and they're going to pay him $10,000 more than Eric Frampton. And the owner of the place, of the venue, had trouble with that. And I was like, what? I asked him what he was thinking about because he seemed troubled. I ran into him somewhere. And we were talking about, and he said to me, that was his issue. This person hasn't contributed anything, and they're gonna pay him $10,000 more. And Eric Frampton has contributed to the music world enormously, and this person just got here, and they're just gonna do a 1 hour set.
Right.
And they're gonna leave, and then they're gonna go to Orlando. This is what he told me, and they're gonna get paid $70,000, and you do the same 1 hour set, and they're gonna leave. That is just crazy to me, like in a good way. Like, can you imagine getting paid like that? And so what's stopping us from charging $10,000? Like, what's stopping us from charging $30,000?
Well, I guess that's where I'm at as a musician. I've basically decided just what you said, or what we cumulatively said, is that you won't get 200 by charging 100. Somebody gets paid $10,000 to play. Jimi Hendrix got $30,000 to play at Woodstock. That's the number that jumped out when people think that people played for free, like back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like, we were just coming out to jam, dude.
Yeah. They do, man. They do make that assumption.
You don't get paid until you start charging. And for me, I guess on the $100 tip, I'd rather do labor for $100 I'd rather sing for free than to sing for $100. $100 is almost disrespectful. It doesn't mean I won't do it, but I'm saying psychologically, there is a genre. I mean, there is a level of artist that gets paid $1,000, and once you've been paid $1,000, the difference is when you go play for $1,000. Here's the money factor for me. I learned years ago. I was in a band playing fraternity parties, and they're coughing up $2,000 for your band to come in. A bar's going to pay you $300, $500, whatever. Same band, except we're going to have a great time at this fraternity.
Yeah.
It'll be balls to the walls. You play celebrity.
Yeah.
And you get paid $2,000. The more somebody pays for an artist, the more they appreciate it.
That's crazy, right?
If you pay $2,000, they appreciate it $2,000 worth because they just cut you a $2,000 check. When you're just one more guy for $100, it doesn't matter if you're Pavarotti. You're just the band.
Yeah.
You know, here's your pizza, here's your beer. Mm-hmm. You know, turn your volume down. So at the $100 level, it's not.
I'll have you know that they asked me the opposite. Can you turn it up, please? That sounds great. That sounds wonderful.
And here's $200. I know you only charge one, but here's two.
Yeah.
And here's a to-go plate with some
and gift certificates.
That's right, for your family.
Yeah.
So I want. I guess that's in a transition into original material. There's a format of I'm going to go play originals for free, and then I could actually find a slot in more of a festival format or a larger presentation. Not like you're going to be headlining shows that pay chunks without some machine behind you. But there is a spot for a higher caliber of original music that you can plug into where you're able to charge a lot more than what it pays locally.
I'm really considering this. I've had such a good experience with like 4 or 5 house concerts that I've done that I'm really considering taking that on. Like,
but that's the new format.
It's
like
great.
You have some control over what you achieve in that format.
Yeah, and it's the kind of situation where we can, as a family, we can travel. We're not gonna get rich. I hope we do. But I'm saying, as a family, we can travel, and I can knock these things out, and it would at least pay for our travel.
Right.
You know, and that would be just amazing. That would just be just great.
I just figure for me, I'm in a similar fashion. I travel all over the country for reasons other than music. Why wouldn't you be booking gigs? Like once you have.
Because you work for the CIA. Oh, I'm not supposed to tell people that? I can't tell people that?
Once you have a format that you're happy with, why wouldn't you be booking one in Cincinnati when you go to Cincinnati? Why wouldn't you be booking one in Atlanta when you're in Atlanta? Yeah. Or out west when you're out west? Or in New York when you're in New York?
Because you're a dodgy-headed, lazy musician.
How could you not be a touring artist forever? Like just book gigs.
Yeah, man. I know what you're saying. I go to see my family in Dallas. Do I book a gig? No. But it's just like I just don't. I'm just so bad at that, man. Some people think that my talent is to a degree that I shouldn't even be here, right? But two of the reasons that I'm here is because I've been happy in my life. I think my life has been great here, and that's a problem, okay? Because you're supposed to be dissatisfied and you're supposed to want to move on,
right.
But until recently, that we had kids. And the cost of living has gone up substantially. I'm not so happy anymore with my situation, and now I want to change it. You know. But why am I telling you that? Anyway, what were you telling me?
I was just talking about the tour concept or taking advantage of opportunities to play elsewhere. I'm at a situation where I feel like you've kind of crossed a threshold age-wise and the maturity of your music. I'm disappointed that there aren't more 40-year-old music consumers, given what music consumers the current 40-year-olds were in their 20s, that they kind of just fall back on what they used to listen to.
Right. There's no, because music sucks, man.
Yeah, but music sucks because the consumer sucks. Like it's kind of like, look at your baby boomers. They were at the birth of rock and roll. What do they listen to?
What do they listen
They
to?
listen to crap.
What do
They
they
either
listen to?
listen to the same old crap, or they listen to.
Neil Diamond.
I think that's probably better than what they listen to.
Yeah. He's probably good. Neil Diamond's probably good. I haven't really heard him. Bette Midler.
But he.
No, what do they listen to? Baby boomers.
Nothing.
Baby boomers
your
are in the
classic
50s,
baby
right?
boomer they just want nostalgia. They just want to hear some
yeah.
Motown. Play
You're
some
right,
Motown.
right. Okay, yeah.
What artist? I don't know. Some Motown.
Mustang Sally.
Exactly. But no.
Do you play that song?
But no. But I'm saying.
I like your reaction.
Yeah.
No.
But I guess what I'm saying is, if you were a fan of art, right? I'm a fan of art. I'm 70 years old. Let's go look at the same art we used to look at. You wouldn't do that. If you're a fan of music, you can't go back to the same music. You know what I'm saying? Like, how could you? I'm a fan of theater. Let's go see the same thing we've always seen. You're not a fan of theater. You're a fan of those 10 shows.
Yeah, wow, that's
You're not
great.
a fan
That's
of
a great
theater. You're a
point.
fan of
Yeah.
those 10 shows. And that's where the people that were part of the birth of rock and roll as we know it are just stagnant. And I think the same thing with people our age is that there's not a consumer. There's when people say the music scene is this or that, it's because the consumer's not there, not because the music's not there, because there's not the consumer base that's required in this town. I know with the material that I have in progress there's not really consumer for it in Jacksonville. I'll play in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It's not going to get lift in Jacksonville.
Yeah, where do you think it would? Like Portland? Like Portland and Colorado, like Boulder?
The funny thing is, I don't know, and I don't get too hung up on it. I'm going to do the dance, and I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah.
I just know there's enough people on the planet
Yeah.
that there's
And you have
there's
access
an
to the
audience
planet.
for it. That's
Right,
what I'm
and
saying.
you have access to the
they
planet
might be
right now.
in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care where they are. I just know I'm going to play it. I'm going to play music until the bitter end, and I've just kind of stepped up my presentation of song material that I write in more recent years. It takes a little bit to kind of leave behind your younger years and push forward to your older years in your mind and in your music. And I've done that, not purposely. You don't sit down and go, no, in 2017, I'm going to be a born-again musician.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I'm at.
And some people
got
quit.
what I do.
Some people quit.
If you quit, you weren't a musician to begin
But
with.
I'm saying, yeah, that's true, man. I've entertained the idea of quitting, and I just can't. I just can't. It's like,
it's the one constant I've had since childhood.
yeah, man,
I can't,
that's great.
like-
That's how I came to the decision of becoming a professional musician, was that I was working all these jobs, and then one night I asked myself, I hate these jobs. What do I need to be doing for a living? It took longer than one night. It took maybe months of asking myself this. And then it dawned on me that I'm up at 3:30 in the morning practicing my guitar, and nobody's compensating me for it, and I'm pouring sweat in the bathroom because it sounds great, and my fingers hurt, and nobody's paying me for this, and I keep doing it, and it keeps hurting me throughout the day because I have to go to work. That was how I decided.
Well, that's exactly it. I play music unprompted, unpaid, forever. I sing all day long.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm a singer. I don't do that. I don't do that on a guitar because I'm not a guitar player.
Yeah.
If you come see me, you confuse the two if you don't play an instrument. If you do play a guitar, you're thinking, God, that guy's awful. But as a singer, I sing all day. I sing myself hoarse on my off days at times because you're never not singing. In the car, in the house. And my kids are the same way. They either are singing or listening to me sing in some fashion. But that part, when you know it's something that you can do unprompted without having to muster up some motivation, and you know what I mean? Like muster up the effort to do something dreadful the way work and other capacities can be.
Which is
then
why
you're
you
like,
have to get
"That's
paid
what
for it.
That's what I need to do.
Yeah, which is why you have to get paid for it. If you're going to do it, that's why they pay you.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not going to do it. I'm not gonna randomly go and like load a trailer.
Yeah.
I love it. I just love it.
People always say,
Can I load that trailer for you real quick?
people always say, since you're a musician, they'll say, bring your guitar. Like, you go into their grill out or whatever. They're like, bring your guitar. And just what I was saying before about there's a time and a place for music that maximizes it. At your grill out is not the time or the place. Like, I came to drink beer and grill out.
Yeah.
It would be like if you did house cleaning for a living. You wouldn't be like, hey, come over. Bring your cleaning supplies. We're grilling out. Bring your cleaning supplies. You can help us clean up after. It'll be awesome. But since you play music, it's like on cue. You should be like 7
good.
o'clock. Sing. You could sing at 7.
The cleaning
It'll be
party.
awesome.
We'll have a cleaning party.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of these? Women do these cleaning parties. They do it.
They don't do them at my house.
Well, they do it. Like, they do cleaning parties. They do moving parties. A moving party. What a joke. They're just trying to trick you into moving.
That's it.
They're tricking you into moving their place for them.
Move some heavy stuff.
Yeah, man. So, we're at 1 hour and 4 minutes.
Are we signing out?
I mean, we can if you want to. There's something else I was going to talk to you about. I wanted to ask you about.
House parties and pay. The pay thing, all I was going to say is I'm at that point where at that low-end gig, I'd rather do labor than get a low-paying gig. I'd rather play for free than to play for low-end. And I'd rather do labor than to play for low-end.
Not me, see. Okay, see.
I don't mind labor.
Well, me, in situations where I haven't been happy playing, I look at the busboy, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Or I look at the
Yeah, but I don't
waiter.
know if I'd be busboy, but
I don't mind the busboy actually because you're away from the people.
at least it's a mindless.
Yeah, but the waiter one is waiting tables is so stressful.
Yeah.
Have you done it before?
You got to be somebody.
And not only that, but you need to give people a certain face. It's like acting.
That's what I mean. You have to be
Yeah,
somebody for the
okay.
shift.
Yeah, you have to act. What if you just broke up with somebody? What if somebody just died? Like, what if? How do you do that? You know,
Well, that's what I was trying to explain to my girls about artists that come to town and artists that go on stage. I'm like, that guy's got to deliver. You have no idea what his day was like. He could have just lost a family member. He could have been yakking 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He's, like you say, he's been paid $30,000 to step on stage at 7:30.
Yeah.
You got to put on your happy face.
Yeah, and you hear stories about performers, no matter how famous they are, somebody just died and they had to go on their show, and they went on their show because they have a stadium full of people that's there to go see them. It's a lot of pressure.
It's too much.
It's too much pressure. I would never want to be in that situation. Like, I would never want to be that big of an artist.
I think as an artist,
I don't think so anyway.
Having played music for this
Definitely
long,
not.
you do realize that there is a sweet spot in music, in a career in music, and it's not at the top.
It's not Michael Jackson.
The top people are miserable. The people at the bottom aren't necessarily miserable. The people at the top are miserable. There's a sweet spot in the middle where you've got some creative control and some financial upside. You know, it's financially rewarding and you still have creative control and you still control your schedule. Where you're like, my wife's pregnant. I'm taking 6 months off or whatever, you know, like not my wife's pregnant and I've got a 3-year-old I haven't seen yet because I've been on tour for 4 years.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Like that's a recipe for a unhappy
So
ending.
being at the top in a lot of ways, I guess, like, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like many things in life, like the extremes of things. Being at the top in a lot of ways is very similar to being at the bottom, because at the bottom you lose control of your life.
You're a total slave to it,
Yeah.
to the income or the
And then at the top you lose control of your life, but you have really wealthy people and important people blowing up your phone instead. But you still lost control of your life.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're poor or super wealthy. Like, they're demanding things from you, and at the bottom, people are demanding things from you.
Well, you superstar people, it is their persona to make who they are look effortless and cool and just the epitome of awesomeness. They can't be carrying around the fact that they were at a radio station at 5 a.m. that morning and that they've got interviews on 1 hour increments for 16 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And they got to get to the gym and go to their trainer and, whatever. It's an Olympic grade endeavor.
There's been
There's
too
nothing
much
musical about it.
No, and even in acting or whatever, but there's all this time, over the past 50 years, people have figured it out. They've learned. They didn't used to know this. People didn't used to know this, but especially over the past 30 years, people have learned the downsides of celebrity. Like, it started out like with Marilyn Monroe.
Right.
And then and you learn about that, and then you learn about this actor, and then when the internet came around and the news, television news came around, it just started getting increasing.
And the 24-hour access to a celebrity.
Yeah, that's insane. Wow.
I guess for me right now, I feel like I'm in a sweet spot musically. The income's not the sweet spot I'm talking about that's out there, but musically, I've never been in a better spot musically. Like, there's a level of integrity.
Let me ask
what's
you this:
going on.
who, if you could think of somebody out there whose career, if you could implant yourself into their career, whose would it be? I have two. I have like two people that come to mind. While you think about it, I'm going to tell you mine.
Yeah, I was going to say that'll help me.
Okay. Sade,
Uh-huh.
her and her band, because it seems like they tour whenever the hell they want for as long as they want, meaning like short, like 2 months or a month.
Right.
We're going to tour France, and then we're going to go to Los Angeles, and then we're going to go to here, and then we're done. You know, and they're going to make, I don't know, like we said, $50,000 at each
Right.
gig. And that's great. It seems like they're totally like in control of their gig there. And the other one, she passed away, but her name is Lhasa. She did all these gigs. They're just musicians. Tom Waits seems to just play whenever he wants.
I don't know about the start of his career that puts him where he is now, but I would have that kind of, the only kind of person I can envision myself being is that,
We're gonna have to stop soon because if we're thinking,
is
my
that
wife
kind
is
of
inspiring
format.
the kids over here.
But the Sade had the good fortune, obviously combined with great music, on a freshman album to have gone from zero to icon status.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets to dance around the planet as a former icon, as an icon who still carries that level of clout.
Yeah.
So she didn't have to do this 20 years of drudgery gigging to get to that point.
Well, Tom Waits, he used to gig all over the world a lot, like to the degree that it made him do heroin type of situation. You know, that life is.
I like his format though, because you can't describe it. Like you can't even say what he does really.
Well, he's really unique. He is like the true representation of a musician, of an artist. You know, because even though I can't listen to a whole album of Tom's because of the timbres of it, like I can't do it. Like I just can't. I love it and I appreciate it, but I can only go on so long with you like this sand in the gears kind of situation.
Right.
And I feel the same way about most bands actually. Change the sound of the songs for me, please, because I don't want to hear the same sound over and over again.
You mean on an album?
On an album,
Yeah.
Your ear gets. It's better if it's more like a mix CD, a mix tape.
Right.
You know.
Well, there's some artists, like I would say like a Nora Jones or somebody like that does have some commonality from start to finish, but it kind of sets a vibe for the room. Like you put on some Nora Jones, the album's it's not like, here's my dance.
But it's almost meditative.
It is. That's what I'm going to say. It kind of sets a tone for your attitude and everything. It doesn't-
Tom Waits has a statement to make, like all the time.
Right.
Like, you know.
It's got anxiety attached to it.
It's got a statement to make. He's got a statement to make, and it's in the words and it's in the music. You know, he's a really interesting guy. Really interesting guy. I've always been interested in Tom Waits.
It's deliberately not pretty, as in it doesn't need to get mixed up with pretty stuff and confused with pretty stuff. Like
no, it's really
got
not.
edges.
It's its own thing to it. And so there's people like this. Like okay, I consider the Smiths to be one of these bands that is doing their own, like an artist. Like what is that sound like when their sound? What the hell kind of sound? What band makes that sound? Like plays the guitars like that, and the singer's like, you know, and there's no like melody necessarily, and he's just like talking it out.
you can't reference it and say that sounds like.
That's rare. What? How often does it happen? Like once every 10 years? Like the last band to do that. I can't. Let me think.
Well, I think of bands like Talking Heads, where you're like, you can't say, oh, they sound like, because they don't. Like it's just out there.
And reggae, like Bob Marley. Really though, I don't mean to offend anybody who's into reggae, but Bob Marley is the only reggae band. They're like, there is no other. It's the weirdest thing.
I don't know how.
There's Steel Pulse.
I don't know how reggae was born out of Bob Marley, because it sounds nothing like, for him to be like the cornerstone of pop culture. Obviously, he's not the cornerstone of the craft. He is for popular reasons. But I don't even see similarities. I see his rhythms and dynamic of the band as so organic and so this got such texture, and then everything that came after it, it's just give me a drop beat and and that pretty much sums up.
So
it doesn't have the depth or the.
That's
certainly
what
doesn't have the
happens.
lyric.
Yeah, that's what happens when I think I watched a documentary on Bob Marley. I'm reading his biography right now, And I watched a documentary on him, and after watching the documentary, I'm like, oh, I get it now. This band has played together like 100,000 times.
Not only that,
And
but
that's how that happens.
it's so warm and fuzzy to Americans because it was born out of Motown. Like he was covering Motown songs. So when he finally like unraveled his the art form that it eventually came to be, it's got elements of what Americans loved already. So and then it's got the island feel going, but it's in terms of how the choruses come together and the background vocals, like it's rooted in American music.
Yeah.
Which for popular music, it was Motown in those days. And his
So
formative
you know
days.
how the Grateful Dead, you were talking about the Grateful Dead. They know how to start and stop on cue. Like Bob Marley and the Wailers, they had that communication together. And when I saw them perform live in that video in the documentary that I'm watching, I'm like, oh, I get it now. Like they've played and they've exposed themselves to audiences so much that Bob Marley has figured out the jeans that he needs to wear and the way he needs to wear his hair and the way that he needs to sing and how he has to hold himself and how the shades that the keyboard player needs to wear and how he needs to play, and you know what I'm saying? They figured
And if in a live
everything
format,
out.
if your singer goes off on a tangent and gets down, the band knows how to hold the song together until it comes back around.
Yeah.
So it still has that. It's not like it's got to be 4 minutes and 35
you could even
seconds.
if you play together a lot with somebody, you could even fall apart for a bar, and it'll be just fine. It'll be just like you just get back on your surfboard and you just ride that wave again. You know, it's not like you didn't really wipe out.
Right.
You know.
They held it together for you.
Yeah, man. So I'm concerned with Patricia. I left her alone with the kids a long time yesterday because of the house concert. So you're playing at the garage. You're playing at the garage on Fridays often, right?
Correct. I'm there
and
this
then
Friday,
does your CD have a name?
My band is called The Trials of Job, and my CD is called Content with the Struggle. That basically sums up where I'm at in life, to be honest with you.
The Trials of Job, Content with. What is the cover going to look like? I want to know. You know yet?
I do.
You don't tell them. You're not telling me. Huh?
No,
Okay.
it's going to be real basic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've
Really?
already gone off on a tangent where you've got this dynamic craziness, and then you've like simmered it down to a lot less.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I wish you a
Simple
lot
is
of
better.
success in it, man. That's really good. And you shared with me a couple of songs, via email and stuff. One of them was a rough draft. I think the other one, I don't know if
The
it was
other
a
one I
rough
wrote
draft.
the day I sent it to you.
Oh, okay.
Occasionally when I write a song, when you know other people are songwriters, sometimes if you wrote a song and sent it to me,
Yeah.
it might just push me to sit down at that day and finish up an idea.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just send stuff out to musicians.
No, it's great,
Just because
man.
they're
Yeah.
musicians.
Yeah.
And not really for any other reason. You kind of like...
Yeah,
just
you're like,
shoot
check out
out
this
there.
thing that
I
I'm
just
doing.
wrote it right there. I put my phone down. I wrote the lyrics and I put the phone down and I strummed through it. And I just sent it to a few musicians. And I'll keep that one. I don't know what version it'll be in when it's done, but I like it.
So
be on the next project,
So
though.
you're primarily a live musician, and then you're going into the studio. You're not a studio musician, and then you're going to the live.
Correct.
scene. Okay, so we're kind of in the same situation, and something I face in the studio is that what works live, and the length of songs, and for entertainment purposes for the venue, recorded music is a different venue.
Right.
And what worked live doesn't work anymore. If I'm making the trumpet sound, I make the trumpet sound.
Right.
That's great. Like doing live, oh, look at him. He's making a trumpet sound. I've never seen that shit before. Wow. On a recording, doesn't matter.
Right. It's totally neutral.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a big deal. Trumpet sound.
Yeah.
Boring.
It merely makes the noise of a trumpet. It might as well be a trumpet on a recording. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So it's got like, people are like, oh, you should record. Why didn't you record? So I'm like, I've done it. It doesn't work. It's like I need to add all kinds of other crap to it. I need to arrange it in a different way. It just it's not entertaining the same way.
Right.
You know?
I guess my production wise, my format that I'm in is as close to how I would perform it live as possible. Like if you there's not going to be a disconnect between what it sounds like recorded and what it would sound like live. Because everything on the CD, I have one more track to record. I've laid down my part in one take. Mm-hmm. I've played the song so many times. I sit down. I have a rough copy that I've recorded. The guy that's recording listens to it. He listened to it for months before we started recording.
Yeah.
So he knows about so he sets his click track, and I go in and play it. I strum through the guitar once with my headphones on, and then I sing my vocal line, and I'm out. Bam, we're done. That track's done.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can't do that with a song you just wrote. You could, but
it'll be different.
Yeah, it'll be different the next time you sing it.
Yeah.
So they will sound live like they sound because I've played them so many times.
Yeah, you have to work a song out like if it was dope.
Yeah, like
You
Making
have to be
Biscuits.
like, brrr, you know,
That's
and
the next
unfortunately
album
it takes
called.
time.
Name of the next
Biscuits.
album is Making Biscuits. It's going to be me with an apron on. It would be awesome. Apron.
Are you really going to do that?
Making Biscuits. Let's do it.
You would do
It'll be a duo album. It'll be me and you making biscuits. It is true though. You gotta massage them into
That's funny.
their final
man.
shape.
We got to go.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it a lot. You're going to come back, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
We got the tour. After the album, there's going to be the tour.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the wrap-up podcast.
And with Throw Biscuits. What are they going to sell? Oh, you mean, we can do the wrap-up podcast. You can do the album.
After the tour.
So tell me the name of the album
world
again.
tour.
Not that I can't listen to the recording, but tell me the name.
Content with the Struggle.
Content with the Struggle. Trials of Job.
The Trials of Job.
All right, man.
Yep.